There will be a new moon in Virgo on September 15th, 2012 at 7:11 Pacific Daylight Time or September 16th, 2012 Universal Time for everyone else. After the intense cosmic download of love, imagination, and infinite creativity released by the full moon in Pisces, a multitude of multidimensional changes have begun to accelerate. The continual solar flares and coronal mass ejections from our life-giving star are scaling up the octaves of synchronicity that commonly take place just before a metamorphosis. The new moon gives us the opportunity to reset the clock connected to our mind, body, and spirit. In many cultures, it is recognized as a time to set our intentions towards short-term goals that fit into our lifetime desires, wishes, and dreams. Just before the moon comes into alignment with the sun, many cultures traditionally eject, clean, or banish all behaviors and items that no longer serve them. This approach can be applied emotionally, physically, and spiritually for many because the alignment of the sun and the moon represent a minor rebirth of the microcosm. The new moon in Virgo is especially significant because Virgo tends to be clean, analytical, health conscious, and driven. With the fierce shocking squares between Uranus, Pluto, Saturn, Mercury, and the moon this month, emphasis on Virgo's critical assessments will be generously applied in community development and group dynamics, highlighting cooperation among humanity. Virgo represents purity, prudence, diplomacy, discerning mental vision, administration skills, analytical tendencies, and a relentless aspiration for perfection. Virgo is the maiden of fruition, so perhaps this is one of the many reasons that the harvest moon takes place in September. Virgo is ruled by the planet and messenger of the gods, Mercury. Virgo is associated with Persephone, the Virgin Mary, Astraea, Ceres, Lakshmi, and Isis. The Virgo constellation is the largest group of stars on the Zodiac ecliptic and the second largest among the 88 constellation of stars on the celestial sphere. The Virgo constellation is important because it is about 44 degrees on average. So, in sidereal astrology, Virgo would be about 45 days long. But in tropical astrology, Virgo is restricted to a 30-day sector of the sky, just like the other 12 signs. Sorry, Juno. Virgo's biggest secret is her association with the star of the goddess Isis, also known as Sirius. Should you choose the red pill instead of the blue pill, you will discover how deep Virgo's esoteric connection to Isis goes. These connections will lead you from monuments and capitol buildings with seasonal alignments with Sirius that will reveal the sacred geometry used all over the world. The Virgo-Isis connection will lead you from the mathematical geometry of Washington, D.C. through New York, Stonehenge, Paris, and the pyramids of Giza. The obelisk and their connection to the Vesica Pisces, the math of pi, the math of phi, and solar proportions will rock your world no matter where your personality falls in the Enneagram personality classification. Virgo is considered the hidden doth of the tree of life, the Schumann resonance of the earth. Virgo is the mutable hexahedronic hypercube of physical reality. In astrophysics, Mercury is made up of a huge iron core which is likely to be molten at its core with a thin silicate crust and virtually no atmosphere. While Mercury has about the same diameter as the moon's Ganymede and Titan, Mercury is significantly more dense and massive. It takes Mercury 88 Earth days to make one trip around the sun, while it takes Mercury about 59 Earth days to make one revolution or turn on its axis. So a day on Mercury is only 1/3 shorter than its whole year. Since Mercury is next to the sun, its location in your natal chart will always be the same as your sun sign or the sign before or after your sun sign. In mythology, Virgo and Gemini are the two signs of the zodiac that are ruled by the planet Mercury. Mercury is said to be the messenger of the gods. The winged sandals and winged helmet he wears are said to give him amazing speed. Mercury's wings also get him associated with angels, because when you decode the word angel in Abrahamic religions, you get the word messenger. The caduceus that Mercury carries symbolizes his role as the cosmic magician in astrology and should not be confused with the universally recognized symbol for medicine. The caduceus has two snakes wrapped around the phoenix staff, representing DNA and nature's ability to harm and or heal. People often confuse the caduceus with the rod of Asclepius. Asclepius was the great healer in early medicine, and his roots can be confused with Serpentarius and tracked back to Imhotep. I want my mummy. The caduceus has a sun symbol on it, and the rod of Asclepius does not. Mercury is associated with and recognized all over the world by many names: Hermes, Thoth or Thoth, Odin, Merlin, Tehuti, Enki, just to name a few. Mercury rules communication, small trips, education, and the mind. His influence is everywhere in the world of language, merchandise, mercantile, mercado, mercenary, and a variety of nouns and verbs associated with business transactions. Sometimes Mercury is associated with thieves and liars. Go figure. The feminine aspect of Mercury can be linked to Iris, Ceridwen, and Seshat, the Lady of the Library. Virgo and Mercury's connection to the esoteric world includes the Rosicrucians, Masons, and the Knights Templar, with their enigmatic connection to Merlin the Magician and the 13 seats of the Round Table of King Arthur. The most common myths associated with Virgo are the myths of Persephone and Astraea. Persephone was kidnapped by Pluto, the god of the underworld, and taken to Tartarus. During the time that she was missing, her mother Ceres did not do her job renewing life and tending to the blossoming of nature. Although Jupiter insisted on Persephone's return, Persephone had grown to love Pluto due to the pomegranate that they shared and wanted to stay in the underworld. So 4 months out of the year, the animated life of nature halts while Ceres grieves. As for the myth of Astraea, the goddess grew tired of the violence, hatred, greed, and selfishness of humanity and decided to ascend back to the macrocosm. However, she did leave her scales of justice for humanity to work it out. Sounds like a Virgo to me. All myths and astrophysics aside, expect a lot of dramatic changes in the coming weeks. The key to understanding these changes is in knowing that the squares and T-squares between Uranus, Pluto, and Saturn are challenging you to push past your emotional, economic, and social patterns that no longer serve you. Each time the moon goes through a cardinal sign such as Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, or Aries, the power of the square has a greater emotional impact on you. When Mercury squares in a cardinal sign, you will feel the impact on issues of communication, the mind, traveling, and logistical matters such as business and organization. Remember that it serves you best not to look at the tough angles or angels as being negative, because when the energy from activation completes its job, you are usually better off than when you started. It is learning to stay on your feet during the cosmic solar winds that is the tough part. Virgo, Capricorn, and Taurus. Time to let go of the past and carve out a new future. Pluto comes out of retrograde, and the god of the underworld will be belting out waves of multidimensional change that will have you riding the shock waves that are resulting from the power struggle with Uranus and Aries. This is not a call to surrender power or responsibility, but a reminder to focus on all of the events that are helping you to manifest the endurance necessary to meet your long-term goals while developing the strength to do intense short-term sprints. Your response to challenges at this time will increase your energy level, leading to a greater level of motivation and commitment to yourself, your loved ones, and your community. Remember to leave enough alone time to sit in silence and reevaluate your days. Now is the time to focus on acting on your desires instead of reacting to outside stimuli. Your relationships with others is now marching towards the zenith of social networking, and the lines between work and play will begin to get fuzzy. Try to focus less on controlling the outcome and instead focus more on co-creation, cooperation, and fellowship. Every cubit of your earthy imagination should be expanded and used for cultivating the harvest under the Virgo sun. With Capricorn's exaltation on the horizon, be prepared to share your emotional, spiritual, and material success with everyone who is running at a deficit. Saturn's light of accountability shines through Pluto while squaring off with the equilibrium and grace of Venus-ruled Libra's balance sheet. Taurus is Libra's cosmic sibling under Venus and will assist in balancing budgets without sacrificing those who are not in the budgeting boardroom. Virgo's scrutiny will insist upon excellence while gatekeeping to ensure that everyone at the Cosmic Harvest Festival receives their fair share off the scales of equity. So demonstrate your level of gratitude by making sure that you contribute in proportion to the blessings that you have received. Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini. As Virgo transubstantiates into Libra and joins the cosmic square of the eclipse of this past May, get ready to party. Father Saturn is packing up and moving in with Scorpio, and he will be gone for much longer than the weekend. The square of Saturn between Uranus and Pluto will begin to let go of some of the challenging false starts and crashes that have taken place since 2009. Time to push for both local, global, and multidimensional solutions both inside and outside of the box. Looks like a job for Aquarius. Virgo's dark horse and thinking consort will have an extra burst of energy and motivation at this time. Just don't allow your Aquarian to overthink the details and be prepared to accept feedback for how to improve. And remember that whenever there is criticism coming from the Aquarian mindset, you can expect your Aquarian to apply that wisdom at least twice as much to themselves. Gemini and people with Mercury in Gemini will experience moments of mad genius over the coming weeks. So if these cosmic thinkers don't make much sense to you, move out of the way, suspend your judgments, and allow them to finish their projects with your support. You'll be glad that you did. Libra will be feeling especially powerful and creative at this time, as September is really the time for Virgo and Libran writers, scholars, lawyers, and teachers. The archetype goddess Mot consorts with the universal goddess Isis, unleashing an ocean of primordial creativity that will act like ambrosia to each of the chakra anchors on each of your multidimensional bodies. Change, adaptation, and metamorphosis is the unifying theme of the octahedron air sign continuum. The Enneagram of light, that is the Virgo sun, provides just enough resistance and attraction to drive the cyclone of creativity of all air signs into the stratosphere of satisfaction and success. Scorpio, Pisces, and Cancer. After the fierce download of the Pisces full moon, you continue to ride the waves of change, adaptability, and intuition. As the waves of life crash upon your shores of uncertainty, remember that the channels of the icosahedron dimension are especially built for healing thyself and others. While you know how to dance to the beat of change, you may still struggle with the emotional aspect of changes if you continue to hold on to your emotional ideals of perfection. The fierce Barracuda Pisces energy will assist you to swim against all of the high tides that seem to be challenging you. Just remember that you do much better when you choose to balance upon the waves of changes than if you reach for a flotation device. There should be no doubt that the passion, flexibility, and support you have for others can be channeled into the courage needed to continue to move forward. I suppose you are tired of continually falling, but remember that there is a reason that falling is very important to those who practice judo. Falling teaches judo disciples how to fall while providing the opportunity to build the strength and endurance necessary to keep getting up until you win. Take a page from their book and add a few throws. And while you're at it, throw away old pain that no longer teaches you anything. Throw away your attachment to nostalgia and focus on building new memories in the present. Most importantly, throw yourself into the unfamiliar with an understanding that the fear is simply excitement without all the breathing. Toss that old beat into the garbage can. Remember that all water signs have access to the regenerative power of Scorpio's Phoenix aspect. So if you get knocked down really hard, remember that each time the Phoenix resurrects within you, you will rise up 10 times stronger, faster, and smarter. This sets you up to fall faster into the fray of intellectual and emotional freedom. Sagittarius, Aries, and Leo. You are the powerful emanation of fire, the first letter of creation, and your actions are the first breath of the dodecahedron. You are the first ray of light that is cosmic consciousness itself. Uranus in Aries is channeling fire through Leo and Sagittarius in addition to the Ram. These fires are destroying old systems of sloth and erecting the pillars of change upon the air sign continuum's pillars of knowledge. Now will be a time of purging and cleansing in your professional, intellectual, and love life. Cooperation is key to your success. You are in a state of organization and coordination in a pragmatic and inclusive pattern that is in step with the Virgo sun. Creative fires and pragmatic earth give birth to the fiery volcanoes and breathe life into tropical islands. You are in the perfect frame of mind to create an inclusive oasis that can rival Lemuria, Atlantis, Agartha, or Shangri-La. You don't need to make choices because your directive fires know that all roads lead to the same place, no matter which mistakes or moments of genius are thrown into the mix. The disruptions of the Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto aspect only give you the motivation to learn how to limbo even closer to the ground. You are the dragon line of the Zodiac and the original crouching tiger of the East. You mock the face of change and adversity with laughter, even withstanding its fierce halitosis and piercing gaze. To you, there will be few consequences, regardless of how badly there are conflicts between personal preferences and personal duty. You are the keeper of the cosmic constant of truth and understand that even if you stumble, you still move forward. The Jaguar eats, marches in step with all those who have the courage to acknowledge cosmic history as a teaching of self-liberation. The first 7 words of cosmic history match up with the math of Isis found throughout the Earth's major cities. However, no talisman found in major cities upon megalithic structures or among the Earth's ley lines can conquer the undeniable synchronicity of the soul with the creative light of cosmic consciousness. Those of you who recognize that all experiences can transcend labels of good and evil during Earth School have learned to soul train with the water dragon and the jaguar. As the water dragon breathes deeply, revolt between the masses and their oppressors becomes imminent. The squares between Uranus and Pluto forms a node that motivates the masses to fight now that there is no place to flee in flight. The manifest destiny that is the spirit of Columbia has traveled from sea to shining sea, completing her goal of erecting the Golden Gate. The red golden gate of the setting western sun now serves as a reflection of the cap of freedom that the masses are ready to wear. Time to be the multidimensional keeper of your cosmic brothers and sisters and reject the left brain talismans that are transmitting from the nodes along the dragon lines of the earth. Virgo ends a few days after the new moon, foreshadowing the Virgin's departure from the realm of humanity, leaving us once again to our own devices. Virgo leaves the scales of justice behind to help humanity to balance its affairs and remind us to get our priorities straight. Known as Estrella, Our Lady of Justice, Persephone, Andromeda, Hera, Juno, Ixchel, Aphrodite, and the goddess Isis, Virgo transitions us from the 12 labors of Hercules into the labor of love. Love of the self, love of the community that nurtures development, and love of humanity. As above, so below. Virgo's labor of love scrutinizes our priorities by questioning if we must continue to attack each other or should we learn to attack the problems that divide us and stop us from moving forward as one. As we enter the silver gate and depart through the golden gates that mirror heaven, perhaps we solve the riddle of the Sphinx and learn to balance the fires of adversity with the humanitarian waters of unifying diversity. Perhaps Persephone is evidence that even the king of the underworld is vulnerable to love. Perhaps the grief of Ceres represents the seasonal cycles of intellect and emotions within the hexahedron of physical reality. Perhaps Estrella teaches us that we must abandon things on earth to learn how much we value them. The last incarnation of Isis is afoot as the jaguar Ix, or the Maya goddess Ixchel, to remind us that we are all star travelers of consciousness hurtling towards the dodecahedron of unity consciousness. So while you may not be on the lookout for a plumed serpent of transcendence, be on the lookout for the protection of your cosmic brothers and sisters as they slowly wake up from the dream spell of duality consciousness buried in the Gregorian calendar. The new law of time has arrived in the form of a hexahedron hypercube that is Virgo brilliance in excellence. A hypercube of awareness, cooperation, and mindfulness wrapped up in a gift box that is becoming the synchronization of humanity. The wheel has turned. The cube is learned. Cosmic history has returned. Waking up from the talisman of imposed reality and freeing our cosmic brothers and sisters through awareness and cooperation advances us one step further into the age of Aquarius.